Yes. And we're live. Hi, and welcome to Gay Out the City. I'm your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and today I am here with musician and model
Hey.
Isaac. I'm gonna hopefully say this right. Isaac Isaza. How you doing today, sexy?
Oh, hey, how are you? Thank you for having me
Of course.
in this interview, and I feel very honored to be invited for being invited. Yeah, in my last name, you can say it Isaza. That's the way you can say it in
Yes.
Spanish, but I
Yeah.
know it sounds different in English. Maybe it sounds like Isaiza or something like that. So it's
Yeah.
okay. It's cool. Whatever you want to say, it is fine for me.
Well, I've naturally this is the thing. Like Hispanic names are usually like the number ones names that I usually fuck up when I'm trying to introduce the guest, but it's like I kind of like roll with it. And there are times I've had to be like, I'm look at a name, I'm like, can you tell me what that's supposed to say? Because it's like, I know you, but it's like I don't know how to say that. Like,
Oh, I
you know,
know. Well, it happens to me too in English. Sometimes when I
yes,
see last names, I don't know how to pronounce them correctly. And yeah, for example, like this singer, I think it's called Cesa, which is like an S, a C, and an A. I always have
oh,
problems to
oh,
pronounce
scissor.
that. Yes, but I love her music, but I
Yeah,
never know how to pronounce that. And it's kind of it's like a little bit like my last name. So I understand the opposite. I understand it maybe in English it's kind of a problematic thing. But yes, it's Isaza basically. Because in
yeah,
Spanish you pronounce a Z a little bit like the S. There's not much
yes,
difference.
yes. Work. So, what was it like for you growing up as a kid in Bogota?
Well, it was the different experience that you expect to have here in Colombia because back in the I'm from the 90s. I grew up in the 90s, but I was born in the 80s actually. But back then everything was so traditional here. Not today, but back in the day everything was really traditional. But my family wasn't because both of
Yeah,
my parents were musicians. So our life was different. And I guess my childhood was a little bit different as well. For example, when everyone was like in home, ready to sleep for school next day, I was with my mom in a backstage waiting for her to play in some bar or in some theater or something. So it was peculiar. I guess I get to say that.
see, I would love that. Sounds kind of like, I guess if you want to be like a musician, like that would be honestly something that'd be amazingly cool to like
Yes, I
be
mean it was
backstage.
it was really cool. I mean, I've been in backstages all my life, basically, and back in the day, it was between the backstage and when I was in my house. I have four sisters, so I was like sharing with my four sisters, and I was the youngest. I am the youngest.
Yeah.
So I was surrounded by women basically all the time, and my sisters were always taking care of me, giving me advices and all that. But my childhood was kind of free, was kind of different than the other kids. I did not have like somebody controlling me or telling me what to do. Basically my mom used to trust me a lot, and she was just like, okay, this is your life, you're a kid, but you get to decide what you want to do. So if you screw up, you have to face the consequences. So basically when I was a child, I was trying to act a little bit more like somebody older than me, because it was different. I never had like the kind of house when you come back from school and somebody picks you up on the next to the bus, and then you go inside of your house and the lunch is ready, and then you have to do the homework. And I never got to experience that. So basically if I wanted to do my homework, it was cool, and if I didn't, then I had to face the consequences next day on school. And if they wanted to talk with my mom, she was always busy. So basically, it was like me and myself all the time. So it was, yeah, I guess I had to learn how to deal with things by myself a lot. So yeah, it was weird, complicated. My mom is not conventional at all, and she wasn't a conventional mother at all.
Well, I mean, as like I kind of it's like I don't know what type of musician your mom is, but it's like I think of the example of when I hear like Madonna talk about her like being a mom and how like she's like obviously everyone knows Madonna's like pushed every boundary there is, and it's like she's had like times where she's like had to talk to her daughter, and like I remember one time she said in an interview like Madonna was talking to her daughter and she's like, what you're wearing is a little risque, and her daughter turned around and says, that's rich coming from you. And it's like one of those things where it's like I can get that. I will say this, I did not have that kind of childhood. I mean, like obviously music was like all over my house, and my mom was like the biggest influence to me as a musician, but is like I had a pretty like normal, actually kind of religious upbringing. It actually comes into my next question, but eventually like when I like got out of religion, I rebelled. Like I rebelled hard. Like and
Well, I guess that happens a lot when you receive like or are under so much control. I guess in one point you want to experience the opposite, and you kind of get,
yes.
this control. And I used to see that a lot with my friends in because in their homes, Colombia, it's a very Catholic kind of country.
Yes.
And church and religion and Sundays, going to the church and all of that is very important, but that wasn't my case. In my house, nobody was like really religious or something. So all of my friends, especially when we were teenagers, they kind of got out of control in one point because they were tired of being so overprotected in their homes.
Exactly.
But that wasn't my case, because basically I never got to experience that. So I never got into one time of my life when I was like out of control and my parents were like, oh my god, what have I done to deserve this. I never got to, I never did any of those things. I guess my mom did a very good job, because I already had like freedom, and I did not need to uh, fight for it. So I never got out of control or anything. And certainly religion wasn't like something for me that was like keeping me in control or something. I always actually, I'm stranger. Religion is a stranger for me. It's never been like something really present in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I can get that now because it's like it's really not present in my life now, like clearly. This goes in part of into my next question. So, what was it like for you coming out?
Oh, coming out. Well, I don't know. It was like I have like a picture in my mind before before I decided to come out. But
Right.
it wasn't it wasn't what I was expecting to be. But it wasn't bad at all. I mean, it was a little dramatic when I first told my mom, because she obviously said like, okay, it's not like I have a problem with it, because I don't. But the only thing that bothers me is to know that you are never gonna have kids. And I told her, that's not a fact. I might have kids. I might adopt a kid or something. But yeah, it's like it's not going to happen the conventional way. In case it happens, it's still, I'm still not ready for it. I'm not even think about that in my daily life.
Yeah.
But that was the first thing that she told me. But I had to take the decision under pressure, because I had this boyfriend, and which actually was my first boyfriend, and he was threatening me to tell my family. He was always like, saying like, I'm gonna tell your mom and your sisters. And one day I was in school back then. I was 17, and that happened when I turned 18. um, well, that was the first time actually I thought to tell about telling my mom, because I arrived from school to my house, and he was in my house, like having coffee or tea or something with my mom on the living room. And when I saw him, I felt like, okay, he's being really serious about it. He's going to tell them. So that was the first thing I thought like maybe I should tell my mom, because I don't want her to know, because a stranger is going to tell her. And
Right.
actually, it was worse because he was like 36 and I was 17, about to turn 18. So no, I was already 18. I'm sorry, but that was a long time ago. So that was the first time I thought about telling, but I ended up telling her like a year later, because I had a different boyfriend after that, and he went to live to Berlin, and I was like brokenhearted and very, very sad. And she was asking me every day, like, "What's going on with you? You're sad, you're upset. What's your problem?" So in one point, I had to tell her, like, "Yeah, you know what? My problem is that I used to have a boyfriend. Yes, I'm gay, and my boyfriend left, and I'm brokenhearted. So I'm sorry. This is what it is. This is the reality." And that's when she told me, like, "Oh, okay. The only conflict that I have is to know that you're never gonna have like kids." But that was like the only thing she said, or at least then. And then like a few months later, we had a fight or something. And the subject came out a little bit during the fight, but my mom has always been like very open-minded, so it wasn't like a big thing. It wasn't bad. And my sisters, they told me we already knew, or suspect, because they always know,
Yeah.
or there's always somebody who suspects. And they were the ones who, like, suspicious about it. So they told
Right.
me like, "Oh, we knew, don't you worry, we just knew."
See, I first of all, I get that. Like, I will say, like, in terms of my coming out, I say in some ways I was fortunate because unlike most people who had to come out to two parents, I only had to come out to one parent because I came out 4 months after my mom died. So I was only having to come out to my dad, and then I have an older sister who my older sister was super accepting, and then fast forward to November of last year, my sister came out herself. So it's like
Oh, okay.
now,
So she understood very well, I guess, even if back then she was still in the closet.
yes, yes, there was a lot of stuff where she saw that I had it rough. I didn't have it rough with family. We're about to get into it. So that religious upbringing comes into my rough coming out. So I came out to a youth minister at the church and I told him about this performance idea I had with like a knife and how I'd practice stabbing myself because I'm dramatic, clearly.
I love it.
And
I love drama.
yes. And he left the room. He came back in about 10 minutes later. He said, "Okay, you have one of two options. Either you're coming with me or I'm calling the cops."
Oh God.
Now, in hindsight, I would have let him call the cops, but I didn't. I went with him. He took me to get a psychological exam.
Okay. Well, that's the first thing that people who don't understand tells
Mhm.
you. Like, maybe you should get some psychological help. And it's not that people. If one of you is watching this and you're going through this with your kid or something, this is not a problem, a psychological problem. This is who your kid
No.
is. This is, for example, in my case and in your case, this is who we are. It's like, you have to
Exactly.
accept it.
Absolutely.
It's stupid to try to fight it. Don't fight it. accept it.
Yeah.
It's the best you can do.
And then okay, so after that, so like they had told me I had passed the exam. So then I was on the phone with my dad, like in the hospital where they took me to get the exam. I'm like, yeah, just come back here and get me. Like I'm all done. And then all of a sudden I had a cop yell at me. He's like, get off the phone. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm just over here like minding my own business, like trying to leave, and y'all are yelling at me. And like
Oh,
then they stuck me in a hospital room for 5 hours. It didn't tell me anything. They just left me in there.
oh
And
my
then like
God.
at like 2 o'clock in the morning the next day, they told me that they'd put me on a suicide hold, and I had to be
Oh, right.
transported. And I had to be transported to a behavioral clinic where I was monitored for 64 hours. And then it
Oh,
took
I
me
get it.
like, yeah.
So
And then
they took you after that. What happened? They took you somewhere else?
after what are you talking about? After I got released, or are you talking about after they put me
Yeah,
on a
after
hold?
after they put you in a hole, like under, under like constant watch.
Yeah. So after what you have to do to get out of that is when you're talking with a therapist, the therapist has to believe that you're not a harm to yourself to let you
I
back out
understand.
into society, which is like so the week they had I had two different people talk to me. The weekend psychiatrist because I was brought in on like a I was officially like put on a hold on like a Saturday, so like the weekend psychiatrist kept me there the whole time. When we got to Monday, the weekday psychiatrist had one session with me and he let me go because he's like, there's no reason that like as he said, there's no reason anybody should have brought him here because the way I put it is that person put me in danger. Like,
Yes, basically.
and then like after I got out, the youth minister and a priest trapped me in a room where they started setting me up with a therapist who tried to pray the gay away.
Like that sounds like a little bit like I don't know how you call it in English. In Spanish, se llama. It's called terapias de conversión, which is basically like a religious therapy that they do on you, like some sort of an exercise to
Yes.
take the gate away out of you. And that ended up being worse because you get abuse basically, because that's abuse. And
Yes.
that's kind of what you were going through basically.
Yes. They never did anything physical, but it was still it's essentially like granted I got out before I got to this point, but I've spoken with people on here who have been in it like a year, 2 years, and it's like when you get into that point, it becomes psychological trauma for you
Yes.
because there's some people like some of the extremes are where they're literally like electrocuting people like
So
and
you
it's
wow.
yeah
Oh, I'm sorry, keep talking. I'm just like,
yeah
just like reacting of what you're
you're
saying
processing
right
it
now.
I get you it's
Yes.
like no mine was never that bad but it was like the fact that I don't know what it's like in Colombia but the fact that I live in the United States the land that's supposed to be like the freest land in the whole world and that's still legalized to this day in certain areas to me is mind-blowing.
Yes. Yes, obviously. And it's supposed to be, like there should be more acceptance, expecting, you expecting acceptance from the USA.
Yes.
But the stories, this is not the first story that I hear about, like a traumatizing experience, like, somebody had when they came out.
Yes.
Um, And I guess there's like, there's homophobic people everywhere. It's like it's like a cancer you cannot just eradicate. It's like there's
Exactly.
always somebody who is going to point you and or told you that you're a sinner or that you're crazy. And again, I have to tell that this is not a problem. This is not a mental issue. This is just who we are. It's like we
Exactly.
have to exist. We have no option. I mean, we have to be. That's it. But yeah, I have seen, for example, I used to have this friend. He's a really good friend, and when he came out, his father basically threw him away from his house, and he never spoke to him ever again. He get back into conversation with his mother and everything, but his father, just erased
Yes.
him from his life. And that's something, if you have a kid, it's a very cold thing to just get rid of your kid because it's not what you were expecting.
Right. And it's like with that, it's like to me, with that, it's like granted, I can never see the side of the parents, but like or I can never see yeah, I can never see the side of the parents, but I'm like it's like imagine losing like just think you lose that family member and it's like at that point it's like that's your kid. Like you only get one shot with that. And I don't feel bad for the people who like people who are like, "Oh, I'm cut off from my mother." It's like or like they just do it intentionally. That's the thing that I always tell people. I'm like, can you imagine like when people like intentionally cut off family members? I'm like, that's your mom. Like, do you know how much I would have loved to have had my mom in my life for stuff like my mom never got to see me graduate from high school. Like that's just and that's something I have to like deal with and it's like with that
You
that's
have
why I would never turn my back on family. I don't turn I well I would say this I don't turn my back on people like
Yes, I
family
mean,
friends whatever.
I understand, especially, you had it really rough when you
Yeah.
came out because, yeah, I guess I was really lucky. I
Yes.
only got into one fight once with my father because when my father heard about it, he did not took it like really well like my mom, but my father wasn't like somebody really present in my life, so I did not care.
Yeah.
And after that, I just saw him once more, and he asked for forgiveness. He said like, I did a really bad thing. I shouldn't, say all the things that I told you, because we kind of we got a little bit physical and everything when he heard about it. But he appeared months after that, and that was the last time I saw him before he died. But he told me, "I'm really sorry. I fucked that with you. I shouldn't, said all those things. I love you. You're my son, and I don't care if you're gay or if you're not. It's not important for me. So at least I got, to close that chapter in my father, and
Yes.
thank God I could, because that was really the last conversation I had with him. He died a few months after that, but I'm sorry because of what you've been through, because
Yeah.
I know when you're a kid, those things leave a mark on you. So I'm sorry because you had it really hard and really rough, and that I understand now why you don't turn your back on people, because yes,
Yes.
that kind of teach you like, it's kind of like the worst lesson you can receive, and you've been through a lot. That's a lot. What you just told me is like, you're a fighter. I can tell that you're a fighter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like the thing is when you say the fighter, it's the interesting thing because I always tell people like, and you probably know this as an artist, like the things that most people try and like run away and like hide and like put in a box is the stuff we put into music so that
Yes.
you don't have to deal with that box. Where it's like that's why like to this year, I am planning on moving this year because I've written an album. I'm hoping to come out with it probably around like September, maybe
Oh,
a little
I'll
bit
be paying
earlier.
attention.
Yes, but it's like with that, I wrote about because I always say like in addition to losing my mom, I've been suicidal twice. I've been raped and I've been sexually assaulted. I put it all into my music because like at the end of the day, I'm like, this is just me saying like I went through all this shit. Going back to that fighter thing, it's like I went through all this shit. There are times that I wanted to quit on myself, but I couldn't because I knew eventually I would get to the moment I'm at right now where I get
So
to
you
tell
need,
people,
I guess you needed to leave all that to get where you are right now. And
oh, for
yeah,
sure.
lessons that that for somehow, or I don't know why, it's not like it's like you deserved it because you obviously did not, but it's like I guess what you're doing right now is like you're saying, okay, these are lessons, no traumas, lessons for me that life
Absolutely.
teaching me things, and I'm just gonna take all of this like a lesson, and I'm just gonna move forward. And I totally get you because music is therapeutic for me. To write my own
Oh, yeah.
songs, I put away a lot of things that I've been keeping inside of me, things that are kind of like poison me, and I put them into the songs, and it's therapeutic because I literally feel that I heal every time I do that. Every time I feel traumatized or upset, or if there's like something that I can just leave behind, put it in a
Yeah.
song and you will be free. You will be free from it. And I totally get it. I'm just hearing your story, and
Yeah.
I can tell that you're being through a lot of things. And thank God you have music in your life.
Yeah.
The same way I told myself every day, thank God that I'm doing music, and that allows me to free myself from all of this, because yes, that's more than a drink or a psychologist or whatever.
Yeah.
Music does the job better than any other thing. That's my theory, and for me it's real. It has worked very well.
And it's also the way that I've like viewed music is I always tell people it's like as I say, music is the one thing that saved my life, but it's also the thing that almost killed me. Because it's like you know this as a songwriter. When you like figure out that you can write music. So like I don't have this written down, but I'm gonna ask you before I get to the next question. So like how old were you the first time you wrote your first song?
The first time I wrote a song, I was like 19 or 20,
Yeah.
because it should be before, but I was in denial because both of my parents were musicians.
Yeah.
And I was like in a rebel time where I was thinking like, I want to do something different. I don't want to be the same. I don't want to be like my parents at all, because I back then, I was immature, obviously. I used
Yeah.
to think, even if I liked it a lot, because I always lived on music. I always loved it. But
Nice.
it was just like a rebel kind of thing, and I wanted to be an actor because of it, because my parents were musicians, and I felt like,
Yeah.
okay, I cannot be a musician. Also, my uncles were musicians, so I felt like, okay, I gotta break the cycle somehow. I don't know, a stupid, from me,
Right.
stupid thing from me. But when I decided that I really loved music and I had to do it. It was like around 19, so 1920, I wrote my first song. And I remember how I wrote it. I don't even remember the song very well because it was a long
Yeah.
time ago. But I remember how I wrote it. I used to work in a restaurant. I was the
Yeah.
manager because I've been working since I'm like 14 or 16. I've been working all
Yeah.
my life basically, and in that restaurant we have like one shift during the lunchtime and like an empty space between 2 o'clock and 6 or 7, and then I had
Right.
to work again for dinner, right? So in one of those breaks, I found like this old. I don't remember the name of those cell phones. BlackBerry. Do you remember the BlackBerry cell phones?
Yes. Yes.
But back then it was there was like a BlackBerry, abandoned BlackBerry in the restaurant, but it was black and white and everything. It was like the oldest version of the oldest.
Right.
And I took the BlackBerry, like a few days before I wrote the song, and I told my boss like, "Hey, who owns this? We have to, get rid of this or give it back." And he told me, that doesn't work here in Colombia. That's only going to work in United States or somewhere else. But if you want
Yeah.
to take it, just take it. And I took it, and I realized it had like a notepad or something. So my first song, I wrote it in there in that BlackBerry, which
Yeah.
I kept for many years. I think I wrote around 100 or more songs in there, and I lost it recently, like maybe like a couple of years ago. I just lost it. I did not lost it. It wasn't working anymore because it
Yeah.
was really old. But yeah, that was like a journey, a diary for me, and my stories were songs. Basically, it was like a
Yeah.
way for me to to feel free and to get rid of problems and everything. And I wasn't happy back then. I was really unhappy. And that was like therapeutic for me during the afternoon. Everyone
Yeah.
was like leaving and coming back later to the restaurant. And I was like, no, I'm gonna stay here. Just close everything. I'm gonna stay here. And I used to write songs about a lot of things,
Yeah.
about a lot of issues, about boyfriends, about me coming out, about me discovering life as a gay person, about me facing rejection from some people when they just knew that I was gay, about me losing boyfriends, losing love, being alone. And, I think I wrote a lot of songs through those
Yeah.
years.
I wrote like the reason I was asking that is because it's like it's almost how you learn how to deal with things. Because like I wrote my first song when I was 14 years old, so like
You were a
I've been
baby.
yeah, and it's like now when I tell people like I'm at the age of 29, it's like I tell people it's like the fact of when I say music's how I'm used to coping with stuff is because like almost all of my life, whenever I've had a problem, it's like you sit there. I mean, granted, the way that I do things now is a little bit different. There's times where it's like I will sit there, especially like now, I sit here on my laptop, I got my headphones, and I'm sitting there listening to the beat, and then like I'm sitting there like da 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 da, and then like
Then you
all of
start
a sudden,
writing.
yeah, and it's like once you hear that hook, I'm like, ah, I had that moment where it's like, that's it. Like, that's the hook right there. And then, like, from there, it's like, at least how I usually write the hook and then I write the bridge. And then from there, I'm allowed to, like, I can, like, put the verses into everything. And, like,
Oh, I totally get
that's
that.
how, yeah,
But I guess your first songs, like in my case, but I guess that was also your case. Like
yeah,
you had no producers or nobody who or any way for you to produce the music.
no,
I guess it was the same that I experienced, which was basically imagine the songs. I used to write and imagine the music, and even I'm always I have been visual all of my life, so I was imagining while I was writing the lyrics, I was imagining the
yeah,
music and even the video clip. I was imagining like, okay,
yeah,
I would be wearing this outfit, and I would be like in this scenario, and it was like it was like a whole trip for me.
right,
I wasn't, I have like no addictions back then, but that was my addiction. That was my drug. I used to
right,
write songs and go in like a mental trip, and imagine the music, and then I was like recording voice notes, like trying to emulate the music with my mouth. And that was basically how I started. I never told anyone in my house. I never told my mother. uh, Back then, obviously,
Yeah.
obviously she knows already, but back then I was like very private with it. Nobody knew that I was writing songs, and I was, I wanted to do music until I was like 23. But between the 19 and the 23, it was like something
Yeah.
secret. It was like a private thing, only for me, and I was dreaming about it and imagining, okay, one day I'm gonna record this and I'm gonna do this. And it came out, it came into reality. It's a real thing today, but yeah, it was like a private act when only I was allowed to, go in.
Yeah. Yes. Well, see, the one thing that you say is like you're talking about producers. I to this day like I make my own beats. I write my own lyrics. So like in terms of this album, like I do want to work with a vocal producer because it's like I know how to produce vocals, but I know it's not my strength. So it's like when I work on this album, when I work in collaboration with somebody, it's like you're gonna help me get my vision, but it's like I this is what I'm gonna say to any producer. It's like trust. The minute I hear you try and over auto tune my voice, I am gonna throw a fit. Like, because it's so I don't know how to put this. I always say like auto tune is great for an effect, but it's like, but when you're trying to use it to like cor- quote unquote correct what I'm doing, it's like for me, I'd be like, no, let me go back in the studio and record again if you think I need to do something better. It's like I'll redo the song. Don't sit there and like with Melodyne, just sit there and be like, to like try and get the perfect pitch. It's like, no, give me a chance to do it. Like,
I totally get you, because autotune, I always seen autotune more like a vocal effect more
yes,
than a correction tool. It
yes,
shouldn't be a correction tool. It should be like something. For example, my last three songs, they obviously have some autotune, but we did not use it for correction. We use it because that was the trend. That was like the mood. I wanted it to have a little bit more like trap kind of influence. And
yes,
trap is obviously, there's always have auto tune in reggaeton, trap, and all that. So it was
yep,
like part of it. But one thing that I spoke with the producer, the producer that I'm actually still working with him, I told him I don't want my voice to be like a flop corrected by autotune, because you can tell that when you can realize of that when it's
absolutely,
happening. So if we're gonna use autotune, I want it to be more vocal effect, not
yeah.
a correction tool.
Well, it's
So
because
I get you.
essentially what you want to do is you you want to be able to if like all you have is the instrumental, you want to be able to sing the song live. Like,
Yes, and I wanted to sound like the studio version, or mostly like the studio
yeah,
version. So if your voice has like a lot of autotune, which you see it, for example, in reggaeton, everyone is abusing autotune. So if they have to sing
yes,
like a cappella or something, it's gonna sound horrible. And I told him, like, I don't want to lose my essence. I want to be me. I want to be me live, and I want to be the same person who they're hearing when they hear at my studio versions. I don't want that to change. I don't want it to be like super different, and people to ended up thinking like, okay, this guy is a fake. Because yes, that's the problem with autotune. I don't know why people is abusing of autotune, because it sounds fake when you cannot sing and you abuse autotune. It's kind of like you can tell that you know it wasn't on pitch. It doesn't have to be like perfectly pitch anyway, because it's a human voice, but
right.
it has to sound like you at the end of the day. That's what I mean.
And it's like, especially like, granted, yes, there's using it for a vocal effect, but it's like when going back to that point of it being over abused, because I've heard it in like smaller independent artists who are queer, and it's like I hear this, it's like so, especially on the shorter run times of song. It's one thing I can't stand, like to my album, like every song on that album is over 3 minutes long. Some of them verging on being over 4 minutes long. Because it's like that's what I grew up with. I don't like this
These 2 minute songs,
these
like
bullshit
today.
these yeah, these bullshit 2 minute 50-second songs. I'm like, no. I'm like, especially the one that I like,
Oh,
um
I get you. I get you a lot. I understand you. I totally understand you. It's just not the songs and the length. It's also another problem that I'm seeing today. It's the video clips. I grew up in a time when MTV was important, and you used to
right.
wait for hours for them to, put the video on the channel, and you were able
Yeah.
to see it. And today, everything it has turned so mainstream and so short and so I don't know, so like like one of the plastic spoons and dishes that you use when you're into a driveway, take off food or something. It's like
Right.
very immediate thing, like an immediate thing. So music has turned into that, and even videos, because if you do a video today, people, they're not going to watch it like they used to do before. Video was, for me, it's very important because the visual part, it's super important.
Yeah.
But today it's hard because you spend a lot of money doing the video and a lot of work, and people is not going to see it like they used to. And the thing is, like, things have become such plastic, like disposable. Music has turned into something disposable, and it's very sad. Even the videos, it's like, then you have to do like a stupid TikTok video for people to watch it, and it has to be like 15 seconds long or something like that. So I don't get that. I don't get that, and I totally get you when you say the length of the problems today. Of the songs today, it's a problem, because for me it is. My last songs are really short, and I'm still having issues with it, because when I hear them, I hear that they're too short, and I think it's like they were not complete. So sometimes I feel weird, and I'm just trying to adjust, to get into what's happening today. But I'm old school. I like long songs where you can
Yes.
put all your art over there and express everything you need to express, and say everything you need to say, and put all the, all the, I don't know how you say that in English, but we call it arreglos, which is basically all the things, all the tricks that you want to do into the song. And
Right.
2 minutes and 30 seconds is like, it's nothing. It's like, you just starting the song is already over.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, especially if you want to get more experimental, it's like, so you're putting it inside of this like 2 minute 30 second, 2 minute 50-second song. It's like, for that,
It's a problem.
I use the example of Sam Smith and Unholy. It's like, with that song, it's like, why is Kim Petras here? Like, if you're gonna
Well,
do a song, that short, like, do the whole song yourself. Like,
you're right.
because it's like 2 minutes 40 seconds. It's like, so
And there's no
basically,
space for Kim. Yes, you're right.
yeah. That's why it's like, and with my songs, it's like, yes, I tend to do, like, in my songs, I tend to do a repetitive bridge, but it's like, trust, when I do like a remix version of one of my songs, I'll take out the repetitive bridge. I'll get a rapper to come on there and lay down a verse into my song, because it's like, that way I can remix the song and make it something a little bit different than what you've heard before. But when you're doing something 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, you can't do that.
Yeah, I know, you're right. If it's too short for you, it's obviously gonna be stupid for two people for a collaboration.
Yes.
Collaborations. I think the right length for a featuring should be at least 3 minutes and 30 seconds, at least, and that's
Yes,
short. That's short.
that's minimum. I agree with that.
I did this song. I think it was 2021, with a friend who I love a lot. She's called Kata Castle. She has a project that is called Omar Go, and she invited me into the song. And it wasn't only me. It was there was another artist that is called Brad Pat, and we did the song, the three of us, and each one of us had like, I don't know, like 20 seconds of song. And I really think it was too short, but I love the result. Obviously, we had a lot of fun, and we still play the song together, and it's
Yes.
so much fun when we do it live. But yeah, still thinking every time we perform the song, it's like I should start it, and that's already over. So it feels, yeah, it feels rare. And especially because like you, I'm old school with the songs. I come from a time where songs were 4 minutes, 4 minutes 30, sometimes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, to reduce that to 2 minutes and 15 seconds, it's like, okay, but what can you do? It's like, is that a song or is it like a jingle? It sounds like a jingle.
So true. So true. So okay,
Yeah.
where am I? Oh, okay. So have you ever considered moving out of Colombia?
Yes. Yes, a lot of times because music industry here is really hard. If you don't do like reggaeton, or if you don't do like bachata or champeta or something, which is like typical in here, um,
Right.
sadly, Colombian people, most almost not all of them, but a huge part of the people in my country, and I'm sorry, I hope I don't get like banned because of this, but they kind of lock themselves into their world. And if everyone is like hearing reggaeton, and if they go to a, I don't know, to a disco or something, and they're playing reggaeton, they feel fine about it. They don't go deeper. They don't investigate or search for
Yes.
new music. Not all of them, obviously, but a huge part of the public expects you to do uh, like a very Latin kind of thing because you live here. So I feel misunderstood sometimes, and
Hmm.
sometimes I have thought about moving, and I have always been like the rear guy here. I always been like the rear one. For example, I've been modeling since I don't know, 20 or something, and I was the rear guy in my modeling agency.
Yes.
So they used to only give me like the weird endorsements, like the weird things. Oh, Chris, he's weird. He's like alternative and all that shit. So I always felt like misunderstood. And then people used to say like, I don't know, I have like this styling group, and we started doing styling many years ago, and they used to call us Lady Gagas because we used to dress up differently. So the only reference they used to have was like Gaga. So, oh, they Lady Gagas, you know?
Hmm.
So
Yes.
sometimes that bothers me a lot that people in here, you have internet, you have all the information in the world uh, in your hand. Just, go deeper, find yourself, find like a personality, like do not get stuck in what everyone's doing around you, because you're a person and you should have personality. So it's hard because when I see the place of my songs and stuff like that, almost everyone who hears it, it's outside of the country. so
Right.
so sometimes I feel like, okay, maybe I should go out, maybe. But I keep trying. I trust about, I have faith in my country. I feel that I'll be able to go deeper and go higher here. And every day you see like more people, more different people, more weirdos, I guess, if that's the right way to call it.
Right.
And but yeah, but it's only here because I don't think I'm gonna be a weirdo in some other places. And
No.
I think that there's definitely like a huge world waiting for me, but I just don't want to leave my country because I felt like like, okay, this is not the right place for me, and I just want to go somewhere else and find my fortune there. It's
Right.
like, it kind of gets me sad to think about that. So yeah, I thought about it many times, and sometimes I go into I convince myself that I should go, but like I work in many other stuff, like I'm also stylist and I take pictures.
Right.
So in those areas, I do got a lot of opportunities, and that I guess that's what it's been keeping me here. But I know that if I want to pursue my musical dream, I guess I can call it that
Yes.
way, I'm gonna have to leave eventually, because I'm getting closer to my 40s, and in some point, I don't know. At some point, I'm maybe gonna be too old to keep trying here. So I know it's. I know in some point I'm gonna have to leave. I don't know
Yeah.
if I wanted to just go and live somewhere else, but I don't know. I guess I have to go and and search for a future somewhere else, even if I don't want to stay, even if I just want to go, come back and go. But yeah, I'm pretty sure my music is meant to, for now, it's kind of meant to be heard in some other places of the world. I have no doubt about it.
Yes. See, I would say for that, like, granted, yes, I'm gonna stay in America, but like, I'm in Florida right now. I'm living at home, but it's like, I'm planning on moving this year because it's like, I'm planning on moving to Detroit, and it's like the reason I'm planning on moving there is because in America, that's one of the cheapest places to live, and it's like, I know that I'll be able to make enough money to live, work, and still have money to put out this album because it's like,
Oh, I know how that works.
that's, yeah. Well, it's because it's so expensive everywhere in America now. It is so expensive. It's like when you
Well, I
find a cheap
know.
place,
Oof.
yeah.
A cheap place when there's talented people, that's where you should be. Yeah, I know.
And it's like, I'm gonna jump on it. It's like, yes, as you pointed out, I make electronic music, and it's like, do I make the kind of music that's in Detroit like primarily? No, but it's like being that, like, I would say, like, quote unquote big fish in a little pond makes it more like accessible to people, and it's like, I'll have a chance to like put out my sound and like get all this stuff because at least for me, this album, honestly, if you go from like every song on it, there's some songs that I wrote 9 years ago that are on this album, and then there's some songs that I wrote in like November that are on this album. So it's like, it's literally for me, in some ways, it's a passion project.
Which is
And
always the most important part.
yes, because it's
But
like
I get you. I totally understand you, because it's like, as an independent artist, it's like you're there by yourself, and yeah, sometimes it works, but it's like, to convince the people that you need to convince to get to the point where you need to get, for everyone to pay attention to of what you're doing. It's people um, who usually thinks in a conventional way, and that's
yeah,
that's that's kind of funny, because if you are a promoter or manager or something like that, someone who can actually support an artist,
yeah,
you should be open-minded, obviously, but that's not the case. Usually the people in position of power, it's very closed minded, and they have almost no references, and sometimes they don't even know about music. So
mm-hmm,
I don't know why this world works like that, but that's why you have to you cannot fight it. So it's like I understand. It's like, okay, maybe I have to go somewhere else, get a little bit bigger, and then come
Yeah.
back and say, okay, do I have enough followers right now for you to pay, to pay attention to me? Because the music has always been the same. It hasn't changed. But
Right.
that's it. Because today people they pay you. For example, I don't know how you say that, like discographics and record houses and like
Right. I
and,
get what
and,
you're
and
saying. Yeah.
even managers and press and everyone only pays attention to you if you have like followers in your Instagram. But if the music is cool or if it's good, it kind of it's now like in a third place right
Yes.
now. So yeah, it's like it should be different, but it's not today. It works different. So yeah, I totally get you. If you're going to Detroit, it's because maybe you know that in there's gonna be like
Mhm.
more ways for you to grow up by
Yes.
yourself, because obviously it shouldn't be like that. But because if you're talented, that should be enough. But no, it's not people.
Yeah.
It's not enough for being talented is not enough today. It's like there's a lot of things that you have to keep in mind, especially you have to have followers. So if you do like videos on TikTok and you get followers because of it, and if you don't know a shit about music, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Because if you have followers and you don't know how to sing, it doesn't matter. You know, the record house is gonna pay enough attention to you just because you have followers. Basically, it works like that.
See, my thing is, and I don't know if you have this goal, I want to stay independent just for the fact of when you talk about managers, I have two different views on managers. It's like if a manager's willing to like help you and like guide you in your career and like basically take in charge of you, like booking you, that's fine. But the minute a manager's like sitting there telling you what you can and can't do,
Oh,
that to me seems I've had from doing this, I've had people who are like, "Oh, I can't do it. My manager won't let me." So you're telling me that you, as an artist, are letting some motherfucker in a suit tell you what you can and can't do? It's like, aren't you an artist? Like,
yeah, you're right. That's the whole point of it.
I would tell somebody if a manager ever tried to tell me that I can't do something. Now, there's a difference between I can't and I can't do it right now. But like when you tell them I can't do it, period, I'd be like, okay, yeah, fuck off. Like, get out of my sight. I don't ever want to see you again. Like that thing that you said about TikTok, it's like the minute that like you have like a room full of people trying to make your song the next big hit on TikTok, that's the moment, at least for me, where I'll hate myself as an artist. It's like at the end of the day, it's like I don't want to, even with this album, I'm not writing stuff for trends. Like I'm not writing to like get on people's like for you page. I'm writing because I want to tell my story. And the moment you like step away from that, then
It's like you stop being an artist.
yeah,
Now that you're saying that's what happens basically.
as I said, like, and this is something like this is a quote I made up, but it's something I live for, which is I will always fight to be an artist. I will never become a corporate slut. Meaning like that thing of where you basically just get abused by some record label, just sit there, oh, promote this brand, promote that brand. You're not an artist, you're an artist, but you have to go out there and do this. I'd be like, no, no,
But you're right, because especially because you have been doing music for many years now, right?
right, right,
As same as me. And after that, it's very hard for you to let somebody else to control your art. It's like you have it clear, you know what you want to do. And yes, you're right for you write songs for you and you do your art for you, and if
Right.
other people connects to it and feels like there's affinity and wants to follow you, it's very different. But if you do just songs for selling and trends and all that, yeah, you kind of become a corporate slot. So yeah, it's like there's nothing artistic on it. And if having a manager means having to be um, under those rules, yeah, it sucks.
Yes.
If that's the case, I don't want to have a manager or a
No.
record label. If I'm going to have a record label or a manager, yes, I can, I can obviously say, like, okay, if they told me, okay, let's not release this song right now, maybe let's release this one. Okay, I can always let go and adjust myself to it. But if they tell me, like, okay, this is not the music that we're going to create, now we're going to do this, and then change everything, they're changing everything about me, especially now
Right.
that I've been doing this for more than 10 years, then I will
Yeah.
say, no, no, that's not me, that does not represent me. But that's the thing, like they don't use, or I think they're not even interested in finding real artists right now. They just find like influencers, and they told them like, okay, let's record a song. That's what's happening, and obviously they're influencers, so they're going to say yes to everything. And
Yes.
that kind of screws up everything, because if you see it today, the quality of music has gone really low. It's like, I don't know. It's not only the length and people not watching the videos. It's just like, all of the songs sound the same today, and the lyrics. When you listen into the lyrics are really empty. There's nothing. They're not saying anything through the lyrics today. It's like you
So
just
true.
write a couple of stupid things and that's enough. And I don't know, that's not only the labels kind of fault. That's the public's fault, because they are the ones who should like ask for quality and content. And people today, I don't know if this is like this generation problem, because I don't see myself as a basic person with the music I hear,
Right.
I
Absolutely.
listen to. But it's the public's fault, because they're not expecting anything different. They're expecting like a catchy beat where they can use to move their asses, and some stupid words they can repeat, and there's no, I don't know the word in English, but we call it transfondo in Spanish, which is basically what somebody has like a meaning, like a I don't know, so something important underneath to say, and there's
Yeah.
everything's empty. Like I said, like very, like it was plastic, like a product. Like, okay, this is the song for the next month. And yeah, I kind of I feel you when you say I don't want to go into that. I don't want to be part of it.
No.
You just don't want to lose your essence as an artist, because you have been working your ass off for it. And if you're gonna get like mainstream one day, that has to be under your conditions, under your
Exactly.
rules. I
Exactly.
totally get it.
It's like, okay, this actually dives me into my next question. So, who are some of your musical inspirations?
Well, I like R&B a lot lately, and but the biggest of my musical inspirations from all time are trip hop, basically artists. Like, for example, I was listening to Portishead these days, and I remember that I used to love it very much before, and it was like a mix of trip hop and I don't know, electronic pop. I guess you can call it that way. For example, I used to be a huge
Yeah.
fan of Goldfrapp. Do you remember Goldfrapp? Goldfrapp is
Oh,
one of my favorite bands of all time. I still love
yes.
Alison Goldfrapp because she's by herself right now.
Yeah.
Royce Murphy, I love it. Um, Sneaker Pimps and all, and Lamp and all of these groups. trip hop groups from the 2000s. I absolutely love them. And obviously, I love pop and hip hop. Like, I don't know, I used to listen a lot of, Pop Daddy and
Yeah,
Snoop Dogg and a lot of hip hop during the end of the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s.
yeah,
And I guess that's why I like to rap in some of my songs, because I don't know, that kind of got into my head since then. So today I'm trying to, to sing more and rap a little bit less.
yeah,
But I don't know. I have so many influences in my head that I sometimes I don't know how to put them all into a song, because I do like trip hop. I like R&B. I like hip hop. I like pop. I'm that kind of a person who's always like singing a different song when I'm showering. When I'm on the shower, I'm
yeah,
singing one song, and then I'm cooking my lunch and I'm singing another song. I'm like some sort of a walking rockola. Um, so I don't know. I have so many influences that at the end of the day, it just turned to be. I guess that's why my music is weird for some people, because there's like so many influences in my head that just ended up being something weird. I don't
yeah.
know.
I mean, I get that. Like, as someone who's like, yes, I make primarily electronic music, but it's like I have influences from Lady Gaga to like Madonna to
Oh yes, me too.
uh,
Obviously.
yeah, but like I also have like Alanis Morissette, Cheryl Crow, Lisa Marie Presley, like all these different like other sorts of artists, and it's like
I
if
know.
you,
It's like, especially you being an artist. For example, I
yeah,
love, I love Johnny Cash. And some
yes,
people here they don't not even know about Johnny Cash, and so it's like it's. I know it's funny because yes, I like Johnny Cash, and I can hear really old The Ring of Fire, for example. I can hear The Ring of
yes,
Fire, and after that, I can hear the latest Chloe song. Yes, so it's for
yes,
example, my playlists are rare because I jump from a very old thing to a song like that. I don't know, to Tyla. This a new artist, Tyla, the one who sings "Make Me Sweat, Make Me Water." I don't know if you heard that. Like I love it
that
because
sounds
it's
a little
R&B.
familiar.
So like it's R&B, I really like it. So I could
Yeah,
I could jump from Johnny Cash into that easily, and then go to Madonna or Lady Gaga, or
yeah,
then go to a little 80s pop, maybe Paul Abdul, and then I could go
yes,
to Snoop Dogg, or I don't know. And then I can jump into Roisin Murphy, and then I can jump into Goldfrapp, and then I can jump again
yes,
into something else. It's like there's not like a line. I like a lot of genders, and I guess as an artist, it's difficult to get stuck in one gender, right?
yeah,
Or I guess
yeah.
that's your case as well.
No, yes, that's the thing where it's like when people say like describe your music, it's like for me, it's
It's
like
not
I
easy.
well, no, I tell people I make like electro pop rock and B. So it's like, yes, you have that electronic element, but you also have the pop element, the rock element, the R&B element. You have like the trap depending on the song. It's like for me,
Yeah,
it's like it all depends on what I was feeling when I like made the beat and I wrote the lyrics. It's like sometimes it's like yeah, when I want to like slow down and actually like have people and do like the vocal runs and stuff, yeah, the songs are usually going to be a little bit more trap and R&B because it's like that allows you to do that like do those like
like crazy
and
mixtures.
crazy mixtures. It allows me to like if I want to like belt at like the end of a song, it's like I can do that on a trap song where it's like
Well, how are you? How are you? I guess. Well, for example, if you like trap, I guess you mix it a lot like with electronic at the end, because that's a different mix, right? And that's how I feel. I mean, for example, I like hip hop, but I'm not gonna go and sing like a super hopper song because I have so many influences that the hip hop song I thought it was hip hop ended up being like electronic hip
Yeah,
hop trap kind of something. So I guess that happens a lot to you, I guess.
yeah. I mean, the weirdest thing, as I always say, the probably like the one song on the album that I've written where it's this song I wrote called Too Much Ass for Ya, and it's essentially like it's this like piano, um, this like sad piano, um, synth over trap beat, and it's like what I'm singing about doesn't really like wouldn't conventionally like fit the sound, but it's like when I like wrote it out, it kind of like all made sense.
Yeah, I
And
know.
so it's like
So
sometimes you have that.
but I guess people is always asking you, okay, what's your gender in music? It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, don't ask me that question. I've been in interviews when they ask me that. Like, for example, in I had an interview in a TV station the other day, and they asked me that, and I couldn't, provide an answer, like a clear answer. I ended up
No.
talking a lot, trying to explain, and at the end of the day, I know I had to resume it into, I don't know, 3 words. And it's difficult. It's difficult. It's impossible. So I from one day, that one day, I just decided that I was gonna say pop. Because pop, it could be like some sort of a mix that it doesn't really matter. So I'm the latest I'm doing, the newest strategy that I have is to say, oh yeah, it's like it's pop, and they are like, okay, that's kind of an empty question, but empty answer, but yeah, I get it because, for example, like I said, sometimes I like to rap and sometimes I like
Yeah.
to sing a little. And right now I'm recording new songs, but I'm singing much more than before.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be hard for me to keep explaining like, oh, I do like this electronic hip hop with trap. It's like, that explanation is not gonna work anymore. So yeah, it's difficult for me. I guess it's like in fashion. If you don't create and
Yeah.
you don't take a risk and you don't mix things that everyone say like, oh, you don't mix that with this. If you don't try to do those things, you won't
You
create
won't succeed.
anything new. Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want to create something new in music, don't be afraid of being experimental. Don't be afraid of mix things that everyone thinks is not correct to mix, and that's my
Right.
case, that's my case. My latest song, for example, it's supposed to be like trap, but
Yeah.
for me it's a ballet. It's like I don't know how you say it in English. We say it balada. How do you say
Ballad.
that?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a ballet. And for me it's a pop song. It's like a sad pop
Yeah.
song, but people when they hear it, it's like they say like, okay, this is like a trap song. But I'm like, trap songs supposed to be a little bit more rude, right, and a little bit more energetic. But yeah, it's like that's how people, that's a label that people is putting on the song. But for me
Yes.
it's a pop song and it's a ballad. For example, when I was going to record it, I received the song, I received the track first. This time I worked it differently, more like the producer gave me the song and he told me like, hey, this is a song I have for you because you said you wanted to do like a soft song.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it this way. I'm giving you this track, and I want you to write something. And I heard and I thought like, okay, this is a ballad for me. So I'm gonna write a sad song. And my inspiration for in this case were like really old Spanish ballads. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, like I don't know if you heard about Chayanne and artists like that. Chayanne is like a Latin artist from the 90s. He's so obviously doing music right now,
Right.
but there's another that is called Cristian Castro, and then a lot of artists, even old songs from Enrique Iglesias. So
Yeah.
I always wanted to do a ballad. It was like a dream that I used to have when I was a kid and when I started in music. So that was my inspiration,
Yes.
and I felt like, okay, I'm gonna do like people in here they call it música para planchar, which is basically music for ironing your clothes or something. And
Okay. Yeah.
that was my inspiration for this last song. And when I went to the studio and I showed them like, okay, this is what I have, they told me, oh, this is like too iron music. It's like música de plancha. So this is a trap song. So we don't think it's gonna work. That's what they said. And I said, okay, I want to do a sad song, and for me, this is a sad song. This has the essence that I want the song to have. So they gave me a chance to kind of like edit a little bit and take it off the plancha music a little bit, take it off of the lyrics that I had. And one of the producers said like, okay, I'm gonna help you a little bit because I get you, I understand you, but if you allowed me to co-write this song with you, I promise you we're gonna create something that fills your hunger for a ballad, but at the same time it kind of works into the trap scene. So I
Yeah.
ended up saying like, okay, I'm not gonna close to it. I'm not gonna close my mind to it. I'm gonna be open minded, and I'm gonna let him help me and work the song with me. And we could write the song together, and
Yes.
and I really love the result. People, I have received very, even here in Colombia, that people usually don't understand my music very well. They have told me like, that's one of my favorite songs of you, like
Yeah.
one of your best songs. So so I don't know. It was like a huge, rare thing, but yeah, it started like a really sad, dramatic song from the 80s and 90s. That was the way. That was what I wanted, basically.
Yes.
I guess that's what the song has, like guitars on it and all that, because they kind of understood the what I wanted to go for. But yes, in this case, I have to let you know that they put a lot of their influences into the song. And in
Right.
this case, I said like, okay, I'm gonna open my mind, and I'm gonna work this as a team, because I always been like really. It has always been just me creating, just me doing the music.
Right.
But in this opportunity, I said like, okay, I'm gonna work as a team with them, and I'm gonna listen to them, and I'm gonna let them to advise me and to guide me a little bit, and it ended up being what it is today.
Right. So with me for that, it's like in terms of this album, like granted, yes, I'm gonna be working with a vocal producer, but it's like I couldn't have a producer tell me like, oh, this is how I want the song to sing. First of all, to me, it's like this album's too personal. It's like if you don't like the way that the song sounds, sorry, I'm pouring my heart and soul into this album. It's like if you don't like love the sound, then you're not the producer for me.
Oh,
But it's
I
like
get it. I understand you.
I get that if I like this is what I always say. It's like if I heard a song that like a producer wanted me to like sing and it's like something that I could honestly see myself putting myself into, I would do it. But it's like I'm not just gonna make a song that somebody wrote for me just like make a song.
Well, I get you. For me, it has been hard, especially the last 3 or 4 songs that I have recorded, because I've been working with more people this time. And obviously they give you advices. Obviously they told you
Yeah.
like, okay, maybe these lyrics are too long, and they're just trying to guide me to modernize. I guess that's a word. Modernize my
Modernize,
music
yeah.
a little bit, but it's like a huge fight in my mind. I have to fight with myself first, because I have an idea. I have an idea of what I want, and obviously, I don't want the idea to change. And so it has become working as a team with a team of producers and all that, which is new for me because yes, I guess this is the time I've been working the most as mainstream in my life, I guess.
Yes.
It's like a, we say it in Spanish, tire y afloje, like you hold and you let go, you hold and you let go. So it's been a challenge, and I know exactly how you feel because you don't want to
Yeah.
lose your essence. And in your case,
To
you
somebody
have
else.
more control of your essence because you produce your own tracks. But
Yes.
usually I don't produce. So when I want a song to sound exactly like I want it, I have to write the lyrics first, and then I have to do like a voice note with like how I used to be when I was a kid. I
Right.
have to do this voice note and with the sounds, using my mouth. And sometimes the producers said like, okay, I'm gonna translate that into the track, and ended up being a, a lot different of what I was imagining. But if I feel the essence, if I feel that it still has the essence of what I was planning in the beginning, right now I let go a little bit, and I go with the flow a little bit. But it used to be really different. It used to be like I used to be like very annoying of my with my idea, and I wanted it to be just what I was thinking. But I just like music world has changed a lot. So I thought, okay, I want to see if I am the one with the problem and I am the one who is not understanding. So I want to let go a little bit this time. And it kind of, obviously sometimes, like I said, it's a hold and let go, hold and let go. Sometimes I
Yes.
have to have like this fight with myself, and I have to convince myself of a couple of things. But it has to have the essence. If it doesn't have
Absolutely.
it, I will dispose, I will get rid of it. I will say, no, no, I'm not gonna release this song. And it has happened to me before that I have record songs that when I listen into them, I say, this is not me. So I've been trying to, be open-minded, and it has worked sometimes. But for example, with the last three songs that I
Yes.
record, no, not the last three songs because I have record more. But the last three songs that I have launched or I have released,
Yes.
they have like a similar vibe because between the three of them, because I kind of let go and kind of like let them take a little bit of control, a little bit, not all of it, because like I said, it has to have your essence at the end. And I
Yes.
feel comfortable to them because the producers that I'm working with right now, they really listened. They really listened, and they really, not only they listen to you, but they really try to please you, I guess.
Yes.
So if you guys are seeing this, yes, you know how I feel and how I think about the songs. And thank you for listening to me and trying to mediate and get a middle point between my ideas and what's mainstream supposed to be.
Exactly. So, who would be your dream producer to work with?
Well, I always loved. Well, there's many producers, but I don't know. Back in the 2000s, because 2000s are very important for me in my head, they're
Yeah.
always present. I used to love Timbaland a lot because
Okay.
I like hip hop and R&B and B and all that, and Missy Elliott. Those two are my dream producers. I don't know how. I
Yes.
know Missy Elliott is she's still a producer and she does it all the time, and that will be like my dream come true, to work with them. Because for example, Missy Elliott, she's mainstream obviously, but she
Right.
always puts the artistic and different way into the mainstream, and I love that. So I don't know, that's one of my dreams. I hope it comes true. I hope it turns into reality someday. I don't know. I know it's like a
So,
lot of I'm allowed to dream, right?
absolutely.
So So yeah, that will be Missy Elliott and Timbaland, especially Missy Elliott.
Okay, since you gave two, granted, I make my own stuff, but like if I were to work with somebody, I would say for me it'd be DJ White Shadow
Okay,
and
cool.
Rick Rubin.
Okay, that you say like, okay, this will be my dream come true.
Yeah, because it's like for me, especially like Rick Rubin, I just saw an interview with him recently where he's talking about how I saw a clip of him saying like art starts out for the artist at least as very much for themselves, and then in that notion of creating for themselves, you're able to create for the masses, and that to me is like beautiful because it's like that's how it should be. It's like if you're sitting in there trying to make a hit record, you're gonna be a
If,
flash in the pan. Where it's like if you write stuff that's actually good and it becomes a hit, you'll feel more content with yourself and you'll love having to perform that song years down the road. Because going back to Madonna, there was a time that she wouldn't perform like a virgin because she literally said, I hate this song.
yeah, I remember that. And same as Material Girl, she used to say like
Yes.
that song does not represent me. I know.
Yeah.
And I think she wasn't playing the song for many, many years. But I just get what you said because it's different when you are just producing because you're trying to get a hit.
Yeah.
And that usually happens with the producers. When you work with a producer, they always trying to get a hit because it works for them, it works for you. But if I know it's different for example, in my case it's also different because when a producer is just trying to create a hit, you're just trying to make a unique song that represents you, that maybe makes people connect with you, but not the idea of thinking that, okay, I want this to be on TikTok and everyone moving their asses. It's more
Yeah.
like I want this to create real connections because people gets into the song because they feel that the song represents them, and that's the main idea. Not like, oh, I don't want to be like, I don't want to create a song just to get rich. I want to create a song, that if 100 people listen to it or thousands, they connect with your song. And
Yeah.
that's the difference
That part.
between, I guess, for example, in your that's the in your case, I guess that's your main idea, and in my case it's also my main idea. But when I work with producers, they obviously want the song to be popular somehow. So that's what I'm trying to learn, to let go a little bit, but still I don't want to lose. I mean, if the song gets really famous and it has my essence, I guess I would be proud of myself. But if we were trying to just create a hit and it doesn't matter if the song is good or bad, I guess if I get famous by doing a song like that, I will feel really empty. Like, okay,
Exactly.
this is just, I'm just doing like a essenceless song, like a
Totally.
soulless song. And for me, songs for being to be a good song, to create a good song, it's like when you listen to it, you have to feel like the song has like soul, like an essence. If you cannot feel that in a song, for me it's a bad song. That's
Exactly.
what I have to feel.
Totally. So, what's your dating life been like?
Oh, can you repeat that?
What's your dating life been like?
My favorite film, favorite
No,
movie.
no. Okay, so no, what's your romantic life been like? Let's put it that way.
Oh, my dating
Yes.
life.
Yes,
Oh,
dating, yes.
okay. Well, that's another complex subject. I've been single for many years right now. I'm not sure how many, but I think there has to be more than eight. It has to be more than 8 years. I had a couple of boyfriends, but nothing like really um, that it really matters for me to count in, because it has to matter to you. It has to be important
Right.
for you to feel like, okay, this is a relationship that I had. So the last relationship that actually meant something for me, it was like, yeah, it ended up like 8 years ago. But you want to know something? um, it was one of the greatest things that it could happen to me, not because it wasn't a bad relationship, because it was really good, but
Yeah.
today he is one of my best friends in all my life. He's like my family, and we actually share an apartment and everything, and we have been living together even if we are not boyfriends anymore. Each one of us have, like, dates and stuff. And but he's my
Yes.
best friend, and we work together, we do a lot of projects together. So I guess the love. I always been a fan of saying that the love can transform. It doesn't have to be a relationship where there's sex and you feel like you're in some sort of commitment with that person, or something like that. It transforms. So
Absolutely.
it's not physical for us, and we it's not that what it used to be. It's different. It's like we are always there for each other. We support each other a lot, and we are always, taking care of the other, and we always paying attention, and we always want it one we always want the other to be good and happy, and that's, I guess, that's the most, like, like, if I can call that like some sort of relationship. but
Yes.
but a romantic, like a real relationship, yes, like for the last 8 years, no. I've been dating a lot, dating and dating
Right.
and dating, but I have a problem right now with that. I'm tired of having like booty calls and stuff like that. I had plenty of those in my life, and sometimes it kind of gets me upset, because I feel like when somebody sends me a message, for example, and I know they just want to have sex, I don't know, it bothers me today. I feel annoyed. So I talk with a lot of guys. There's always like a lot of guys, I have to say, like, behind me, but um, for it to get into something physical, there's like a long way. I never let it happen, or not lately, not so much. And I'm always busy, I'm always working. If I'm not modeling, I'm taking pictures, or I'm doing styling, or I'm on the studio, like, recording something. So I guess I use work to as an excuse, in my mind, to, I don't know, not feel like I need to have some type of relationship with somebody. But at the very bottom, in the very bottom of my heart, deep underneath, I know I need it in some point. I know I need it, but I don't know when it's going to happen. To be honest, right now I feel like I love myself, and I
Yes.
don't need anyone else in my life. But sometimes when I think, when I try to think about that in, like, in a deeper way, I ended up saying, like, yeah, I know I have to have a relationship. I know it's been many years, and I don't know. I'm in this dilemma all the time between one thing and the other. I want to have a relationship, but when somebody wants to have a relationship with me, I got scared and I don't want it anymore. And I got tired so fast of, when I'm dating a guy, I got tired really fast. So I don't know. I guess I have a problem. I used to think that that was normal, but right now I'm getting a little scared, because it's my problem. It's not their problem. It's me.
Yeah. Well, it's because, like, first of all, I get it. I'm currently dating somebody, but it's like with that, you you have to date someone who has to understand where it's like, and when I had this conversation with him where it's like, if I'm not talking to you right now, that's not me, like, not being in love with you or anything like that. It's I'm busy. Like, this is the thing, like
Yeah, I know.
especially running everything myself, like this is I have at least this week alone. I have at least two more interviews to do this week, possibly three. So it's like I'm constantly like go 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 go. So it's like I need someone who can keep up and like understand that.
Well, that's kind of a challenge that I have, because I'm
I get
always
it.
busy and I like being busy. And when I remember my old relationships, my previous relationships, and I used to spend a lot of time, on the relationship. And right now, I'm not ready for that. If I'm gonna have a relationship right now, the person that is gonna be with me has to be like very open-minded about that, and that's a
Exactly.
problem that I have when I like a guy and I say, okay, I want to try it with this guy, maybe because I think that I want to try it, but then I realize that don't really want to try it, and it's like, I don't know, it's like a constant, like I said, tire y afloje. It's like hold and let go, hold and let go. I try to
Yes.
let go and have something serious with somebody, but they usually get upset because I told them, okay, I will call you, or I will send you a WhatsApp or whatever, and it takes me a lot of time to do that. So they got upset because they think, okay, he's not interested. So that has happened to me. How are you handling that? Because I understand you. You want to have a
Yeah.
relationship. You are in a relationship, but you don't
Yeah.
want to lose yourself. You don't want to. You're so busy and you are so into your projects that you don't want to, let your goals get like lost in the way because of the relationship. So how are you handling that? Is your partner okay with that? Because you're always thinking about your projects and you're always, um, you're always busy. Can he handles that, or is it like a problem for you?
Well, I am very fortunate in the fact that he's also not obviously like to the degree that I am, but he's also an entertainer. He's like also he's a stripper slash rapper. So it's like he kind of gets what I'm doing, but even sometimes I have to tell him because he's with a management company and his management company is doing stuff for him, and I'm like, listen, baby, I'm out here on my own hustling, doing my own shit. Like I don't have time to like wait by the phone, as I say, like quote unquote, wait by the phone by people. If I want opportunities, like I got to make them myself. So
Yes.
like we literally just went away last weekend, something that we've wanted to do for months, and we couldn't do it because I I love what I do. I really do love what I do. Being a musician, doing this, I love it. But there's some times where it's like I don't get a chance to breathe.
I totally get you.
Yeah, and it's like with all of it, it's like because I've been on the other side where it's like there's a time I had some foot problems like late in 2022 in the beginning of last year. So it's like I had to take almost 6 months off from being a performer and having to sit at home doing nothing. So it's like that thing of being the person who's always just waiting at home for something to happen. It's like to me, it makes it so much to where it's like I want to go, 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 go. Keep on moving, keep on moving. Let's keep on booking people. Let's keep on scheduling people. It's all this because it's like at the end of the day, when you stop, it's scary.
It's scary. It's scary when you stop, especially when you have to stop because something
Yes,
happened. And
yes,
that's even more scary because you're gonna go back on track in some point, but it's like you feel like you're never gonna going back on track. It's like you feel like, okay, I feel like I'm, like this is going to happen the rest of my life, because you're so used to of being moving around and
Yeah.
planning things, doing things all the time. So when something like that happens, I understand. It's like you feel like it's the end of the world. For example, like when you have a surgery or something. I had a surgery back in 2021, I think it was. I had I don't know how you call that in English, a hernia, una hernia, which is basically when some part of your insides pop out like somewhere, and you have to
Oh,
have surgery. How do you call that in English?
I. It sounds painful, whatever it is. I don't know exactly what it is.
It is painful because, but it's very normal. It happens to a lot of people. When you, for example, carrying something or doing some effort, and poop, it happens, and you have to have surgery. So I had to have I had a surgery, and and they told me, because I also like to work out a lot. I like to run, and I
Right.
like to, working out is always there for me. It's like it's besides music, that's another way that I have to, you know, to release my thoughts, and I even think about songs and everything when I'm doing it.
Exactly.
And they told me you cannot perform, obviously. When I perform, I do splits and stuff like that. So that was like, yeah, I felt like,
No.
okay,
Yeah.
obviously it's not an option. And then they said, like, you also cannot work out, and you have to stay in your house. You can try not to leave the house too much. Try not to, carry any weight and stuff like that. And I felt so unhappy because I felt like, okay, I cannot perform. I cannot work out. I can only, yeah, I can create. I can do stuff in my mind, and maybe in the computer. I can maybe record, but to record the song is the last thing you do. There's like a huge
Right.
process before. So I have to, I have to have that part, but I have to have the actual part when you move around a lot, and you run one side to the other, and you are like doing a lot of stuff and going out, and I have to have that part too. So
Yeah.
if it's only me staying and planning everything through a computer, and just writing the song, or just doing calls to, find out clothes for the artist that you're dressing up, that for me, that's not nice. I have to have both things. I have to be running around the city looking for things. I have to go and to rehearse the show, and I have to, So
Exactly.
I felt so unhappy, and I felt like I was the end of the world, and I felt like that was that wasn't that okay. I felt like, okay, this is not. I hope this ends up, soon. Like this changes soon, because it feels like it's the end of the world, especially when you are used to be running all the time and doing stuff all the
Absolutely.
time. And in my case, I'm always, I work in a lot of things that require for me to be running around the city and doing a lot of stuff, facing a lot of stress. And I guess that's when you realize you really like it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm stressed when I'm doing those things, but I really like it. And especially, I like to go out and run.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I was hating the most, even more than not being able to perform. I was thinking like, okay, I cannot go to the street and run. How am I gonna clear my head? How am I gonna, for me, the healthy part of running, it's more than the physical part. It's the mental part. It's like, for me, that's a therapy. So yeah, I was getting crazy until I went to the doctor, and they told me, okay, you can work out again. And I was like, oh yes, finally. It was
Yes.
like the three longest months of my life.
Yeah. Totally. So, okay. So, what's your relationship to drugs and alcohol?
Well, it's like, when I was in my 20s, I used to be, I don't know, more open about it. It's not like I'm not bothered by it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I did like I said, when I was a kid, I never had like any kind of prohibition. Is that a word? Prohibition? Like, yeah, no,
Supervision. I get what you're saying.
exactly. There was like nobody telling me what to do and what I don't supposed to do. So I guess I did everything when I had to do it. So I never was like in a hurry of trying anything because I had my opportunities of trying everything, and I had the freedom of trying the drugs when I wanted to. So I never been like super crazy, but yeah, right now the only drug that I have to say that I really enjoy it's how do you call it in English? Pot, like marijuana, like
Yes, 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 yes.
I do enjoy it. Wheat. I do enjoy wheat.
Yep.
Sometimes I smoke wheat, but yeah, I like it because I get relaxed and easy and calm down. And sometimes when I'm creating, it kind of works. I had to lower, uh, the intensity a lot because when I smoke a lot of weed, it's difficult for me to sing. I don't know what happens with my voice, but it kind of feels like I'm in a some sort of a box, like my voice is trapped. So I
Yes.
had to lower the intensity, and sometimes today I only do it when I'm going to watch a movie or casually. But I used to smoke weed every day. But right now, no, no. And I like to drink. I do like to
Yep.
drink. Um, but I don't know if it's because my age right now, but the hangovers are terrible today for me. It could even last 2 days. So if I'm gonna drink, then I have to choose what I'm going to drink. I used to choose whatever it comes handy, and that has changed a lot. So today I have to only drink, I don't know, vodka or whiskey or gin because
Yep.
those are like the ones who, I'm not gonna be hangover wet. So yeah, it has changed a lot, especially the last 5 years. But chemical drugs, I never liked them. Um, the last time I tried a chemical drug, I tried some. In Spanish, we call it ácido, but LCD, LSD. I
Yes.
tried in a Madonna concert. I'm never going to forget about that. We went to Medellin because the concert was in there, and it was raining. And Madonna took a lot of time to come out because I don't know, because I don't know if she always does that, but she's supposed to come out at 8, and it was 8:30, and it was raining, and she was, I don't know, she wasn't anywhere to be found. The show wasn't started yet, and it was raining, and everyone was like smoking around me. And one friend said like, okay, I have tengo un ácido, I have some LCD, a paper. Let's take it. So I took it, but like it was raining and everyone was smoking next to me and everything. I don't know what happened, but it did not work the right way. First I started to feel like this smell. I think the smell came from the grass underneath the plastic thing they put on the stadiums, on the arena. They put like some sort of a plastic thing, especially when it's like a football field or something like that, right? So
Hmm.
that thing was like, I don't know, like had like a very particular smell, but I feel I could smell it even more because I was on the acid effect, and also the cigarettes that everyone was smoking around me felt like too much for me. So I watched the concert and all that. It was back in the MDNA tour, so it was in 2012.
Right.
And then we took the train because in Medellin it's not a subway, it's like it's a train, it's like it's high. So we took the train, and the train smelled like it, like that plastic on top of the grass, like that thing. It was a horrible smell mixed with cigarettes. So I thought like, okay, well, maybe it's because of the acid. I'm gonna wait until tomorrow. We arrived to the hotel, we slept, and next day, I I still had the smell in my nose. And when I was trying to eat, all of the food tastes like it, like like I don't know, like kind of like I don't know, horrible plastic smell with cigarette. And I think it was because I mixed it with the acid, and the three of those things together kind of screw up the whole thing for me. So that was the last time I tried an acid. I thought like, okay, maybe this is not my thing. For some reason in my head, it was the acid's fault. I thought this is because of the acid, and that was the last time I tried it. And and the last thing I actually tried, now that I'm remembering, is that
Yes.
I dated a guy once, and he said, "Okay, I like to have sex with G." So he had G,
Hmm.
and something that they call it in here, Tina, which is another drug, and we mixed the two things, and we had sex. But for him, it was like the greatest thing in the world. But for me, it wasn't like something really special. I felt like, okay, sex could be good without it. So actually, now that I remember, that was the last chemical drug that I had. And yeah, I'm not into it. I mean, it was good. I tried everything, but the feelings, the effects, and all that, I'm not crazy about it. That's
Right.
why I only have weed and drinks. That does the whole thing for me.
See, in terms of me, like I haven't really done drugs. Like, yeah, I haven't really done drugs. In terms of alcohol, like overall, I've had like a good relationship. I had like a really bad night. So I will say this: I don't drink now when I perform because of this night. So I was in my like early to mid 20s, and like I had a night where people were just buying me drink after drink after drink after drink, and I ended up having
Okay.
like seven drink. I ended up having seven drinks in a shot, and then like, and then I had to drive an hour home, and I got pulled over by a cop, and
Oh.
luckily my dad came and saved me. Otherwise, I would have gone on a DUI. So that like stopped me from drinking when I was performing. So like overall, I don't have a problem, but like I rarely drink. Like I had a couple drinks a few weeks ago, and it had been like easily 4 or 5 months since I'd had drinks before then. It's like I just don't really do it because
So
I'm
you,
so busy.
if you're drinking, it has to be a special occasion, right? Not just like
Yeah.
a night out a night out in the club or something. It has to be more special, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Absolutely.
Well, when I'm going to perform, I don't drink. I drink after the performance because it happened to me once that I was going to perform and I got too drunk. And it was a featuring that I did with some other band. And when I had to get on stage, it was like in the middle of the song, and I was too drunk, and so I came out like 10 seconds before my line started, and there was like the first thing I noticed is there was like a huge fabric on the it was like a back stairway directly to the stage, right? And there was like this huge fabric, so I got like my feet got like tangled by it, and I fell down. That was the first thing that happened. And then I ran into the stage, and somebody gave me a microphone, and the microphone wasn't working. And then when you're not drunk, you know where you're supposed to be, and if you're late in a song, you know where you should get in, because you know what is happening, right? Because you know your lyrics, and you know where you okay
Exactly.
you're saying this word here and the another word here, and it's okay. I'm late, so I'm gonna get in anyway, and I'm gonna fix it, or I'm gonna just, I'm gonna do it even if people is noticing that there's a problem. But I wasn't able to do that. So when they changed my microphone into one that it was actually on and working, I did not knew what to do because I was too drunk. So it was like a huge of like a chain effect, like a domino effect, and it was a mess. It was a complete disaster. So I couldn't really sing my lines, and it sounded horrible. And the other guys that were doing the song with me, their faces, I'm not never going to forget their faces. They were like doing like, oh, and it was their song. That was their song. So I was screwing up their song. So I felt really bad. I felt in that moment I decided that if I have to perform, I will not drink until my performance is done. After that,
Yes.
I will get drunk if I want to. So that's my number one rule: not having any drinks until the performance is done. What I like to do, or maybe what I can do, is I can have a drink during the performance because I like to celebrate with people. So I always have like a glass of aguardiente or whiskey or some sort of a beer or something, but just one. And during the performance, I just say to the public, like, "Hey, I want to celebrate with you guys. Let's cheers, guys!" And they just got close
Yes.
because I like to really interact when I am live. I like to interact with my audience. So that's a way. That's like more like a part of the show for me, like doing some sort of a cheers with them, and we crash the glasses and everything, and I have a drink. But that's what I do. But after the show is done, if I want to get drunk, yes, I have the freedom, but to do it. But usually you are so tired after a show that the only thing you usually want to do is to go to your house. So
Yeah.
it never works. And I can actually never get to the point where I'm celebrating and I get drunk after my shows.
Right. First of all, that thing of when stuff doesn't work, there have been, and you said coming into song, there were at least two different occasions where I've been performing and like I'm in a competition, like trying to compete, and my track's playing and I'm not getting handed a microphone. So I'm literally looking at the host being like, I need a microphone. Like I'm singing. And
But you know what? When that usually happens, usually there's somebody involved. I
yeah,
used to think that that wasn't made because other musicians, even my parents, they always told me about that. Like, there's always somebody who wants to screw you up for some reason, for X reason, because they don't like the way you look or you sing, or they don't like your song, so they see you as a competition. But there's always somebody who wants to screw you up, even if your
mhm,
um, sound engineer is over there. There's
yeah,
always somebody who wants to screw you up. So what you're saying, that's usually somebody behind that.
yeah. Oh no, I know there was because it's like at one of the events. Well, actually, at one of the events, I lost, and like somebody said, "Oh, you only lost by 2 points." I'm thinking this is bull fucking shit. Like I should have won by 4. Like I heard myself that night. I killed it.
There's the competition thing is it sucks a little bit because
I hate it.
I don't know, people as independent artists, like we should support each other. And let the best one win. Don't screw up what the other is doing. It's like, but that I don't know, but it's something goes that way. I Carlos Vives, the singer, the Colombian singer. I don't know if you ever heard about him. There's
No.
a very famous singer, and he's iconic here. It's called Carlos Vives, and he has this bar that is called Gaida. And this bar is really important because almost everyone who is famous and who is like in their way and everything has played some in some part of their life in Gaida. But there is a problem in Gaida, and it's that the team that it works there, they always want to screw you up. So my sister, she is also a singer, and I had this song with my sister, and she invited me to you know uh, do the performance and all that. And it happened there that things like the microphone is not working, the track is out of tone and context, and there's always something that is not working. So it happens to us. And then when I was talking with some other friends that have played in Gaira, they told me, the same exact same thing happened to me in there. It just happened. And right now, that was like many years ago. Right now, I have like a lot of how can you say that, testimonies? Is that a word?
Yes.
I have a lot of testimonies from that same place. And it's usually the artists that are like having like a new opportunity in Gaira, that Carlos Vives or his brother, which is I think is the manager of the place, they told him like, oh, we're gonna give you an opportunity. We want you to play in Gaira. And when they're not there, the people who is always working in there, they just fuck you up. Don't ask me why, if there's a reason behind, but it always happens. And people like that, it's you can find that kind of a people everywhere. There's always somebody who wants to screw you up, I don't know, with no reason. They just want to screw up your show. And as musicians that we are, even if they are, I don't know, engineers or whatever they are, it's like, why doing that? I mean, what's the reason behind it? What do you win, like screwing up somebody else's show? I mean, what's up to you? But yeah, it happens a lot, and I thought it was a myth. But my parents, they told me that happens, and you have to be careful. And yes, I have experienced it a lot of times,
Yeah.
especially when it's a competition. When it's a competition, it's worse. Like you kind of
Totally.
have to have somebody like when I have like contests and music contests and stuff like that, I always try to bring my engineer. And sometimes they told me like, oh no, we have our own engineer. Your engineer cannot be here. But I prefer for my engineer to be watching everything, because
Yeah.
that's the only insurance that I have to avoid that. Because there's something we call it like mala leche or mala ley, like somebody who it's like who wants to screw you up.
Yeah. Totally. It's a mess. And finally, to my last question, what's the biggest misconception about you?
One of the biggest misconceptions about me, because there's a couple. The first one, it could be that I'm a super sexual person and super, I don't know, like super wild. Those are the two misconceptions, because I'm not any of those things. I'm a very sexual person, but you know sometimes people, when they don't know me, they think that I'm a porn actor because they see my Instagram or something, and they think like, okay, you're a porn actor. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't know if it's my face, in my nose because it's big. I have received all types of commentaries about it, all types of they have told me a lot of things, but I'm not. I'm very sexually speaking, I'm very private. I'm very private. I'm not bothered by everyone today. Today half of the gay people, half of them are practically porn stars, because you
Right.
see porn on X and you see everyone like having sex, and that's fine. But in my
Yes.
case, I just like to keep it private. It's my thing. It's the way I like it. But people think that I'm very, open with that, and they never have seen a sexual video of me, but they imagine somehow that I'm a porn actor and that I'm super sexual, open, and for the world to see. And that's not true. And the other, misconception is that I'm super wild, I'm super partying kind of guy. And I'm not. I do enjoy being in my house and do enjoy like to cook something just for me and to relax. And for me, a perfect date is dinner, movies. I'm bored,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm a very house kind of a person. I prefer being in my house, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the misconceptions that people have about me. I guess they imagine that I'm super wild, sexual, and partying way.
See, I have two as well. One of mine is that I'm told I'm intimidating, which I kind of get. I'm not the smallest person in the world, but it's like with that one, it's like honestly, just have a conversation with me. Like
Well,
that's
I don't think you're intimidating at all,
no,
but yeah, sometimes people just I don't know they just do misconceptions because what they see, and maybe if you're big or I don't know, there's about that. If sometimes like simple things like you wearing black and stuff like that is like oh okay
yes,
he must be yeah you know what I mean so yeah people they judge very quickly and very in a wrong way because yes you know what I don't think you're intimidating at all actually you are it's very nice talking with you it's like you know
yeah,
you're very fluent in a conversation.
yes. Thank you. So that's one, and that I've the other one is that I've told I'm shady, but I'm like, of course. My thing is I'm very opinionated. It's like, yeah, I'm an artist. If I didn't have opinions, I wouldn't be able to make art. Like it's
I
that
totally get
simple.
you. Yes, you're absolutely right. Obviously, when you're an artist, you have to be willing to talk. At least you're a puppet or something like some people. But yeah, that's the point of your art to express yourself. So yes,
Oh yeah.
definitely you have to feel free to talk. And some people, you know, they I guess people I we don't see it because it's not normal for us, but people is always um, watching what they're saying. They always, you know, taking care, thinking, overthinking what they're gonna say. But we, as artists that we are, I don't think, at least not me. I don't think of what I'm going to say. I don't plan what I'm going to say. I just go and say it, and I guess it happens to you too. And some people
Yes.
see that as you being rude or being too direct.
Yeah. Which yes, being direct, there's nothing wrong with being direct. That's how most people should be. I feel these people who are like saying one thing in front of your face and then another thing behind your back, it's like that's
Oh, that's
why
tough.
nobody trusts you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I trust. You know, I trust more in somebody who is actually straight, saying things like, you know, they go straight and they say it. I
Yeah.
prefer that. I trust that a lot. But when somebody is like you know, like very dedicated to say things and they overthink and that, you know, even if they are too nice, I never trust in you know that too nice kind of a person. You know, it's there's always something behind that. I prefer people who is actually direct. They say what they think, and that's it. You know what to expect. You know what to expect. You know if you think you can handle. Okay, that's the perfect kind of friendship that you can have
Yes.
because they're never going to lie to you. Well, see, at least less lies, more truth.
Exactly. Anyway, with that being said, it was a pleasure getting to meet you.
Well, I have to say the same thing. I hope this is not our last interview. I hope
Oh,
this is one of many in the future because I really love it, enjoy talking with you. You know,
thank you.
it's like having a conversation with somebody I know like from a really long time. It feels like that. Like really, it's like a warm conversation, and I like it.
Thank you.
Especially you know I'm using my English which is you know right now today is not the best it's not my best day for my English. I have better days and bad days. I having a bad English day, but with you I feel so comfortable and it kind of flows. It's more fluent. It goes better because I feel comfortable and I don't feel nervous, or your questions are very nice. It's like having a conversation with an old time friend, and I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
yes, that's honestly That's my goal here. Like, some people think interviews is an interrogation. It's like, no. I want to sit here and get to know somebody. Like, that's just my view.
Well, yes, that's the idea, and I feel like you do a pretty good job with it. So yeah, keep on going with your interviews. I definitely want to be back really soon, and yeah, hopefully I will meet you one day. If one day I will go to the States, and if
Yeah,
I go to Detroit, you will probably be there by then, and who
absolutely.
knows? We ended up meeting in real
I'd
life. It
love
would be
that.
great.
I'd love that.
Okay,
Anyway,
okay. It's in the plans right now. And putting it in the list.
yes. With that being said, this is Gay Out the City. I'm your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and I hope you've enjoyed.
Thank you for